Take a deep breath in. I know, you're talking to me. Well, hello, hey, I got something to say, people, but I'm so excited. I mean, it's my buddy, it's my pal. Brenda is in the house. I love her dearly, and I can't wait to share her message. Hi, Brenda.
Hi, my friend. And my coach. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that,
You can say, hey, you can say whatever you want.
but
So, before I give you her short introduction, I'm just going to remind you how I met her. She was speaking at a conference, and I was so impressed. First of all, I don't even know what I was doing at the conference. Wasn't it an engineer conference? Like,
as a women's engineers.
I'm not one of those, but I was going to support somebody, I'm sure. And I just stumbled into Brenda McGregor's workshop. And it was awesome. And ever since, we've been pals, we've been friends.
We sure have. And I'm so grateful that you stumbled in.
I'm stumbling it. I'm like, ooh, I like her. All right, so let me tell you a little bit about her. And she show is, first of all, coaches who take coaches are the bomb. If you have a coach, I'm just saying this, only take them if they're willing to be coached. They're the best coaches. Continuous learning, because if you're not doing it on yourself, what the freak? Anyhow.
Great.
And
Yes.
there's amazing coaches out there, but there's also some that I wouldn't recommend, but Brenda, highly recommend. Okay, I'm
Thank
done.
you.
Is a transformational coach, motivational speaker. We'll get into the power of the milkshake. What? And host of her own podcast, If Only podcast, with over 30 years of corporate experience in HR and accounting. She brings deep expertise to her coaching. She empowers executive managers and change agents to love every part of their life. Every part, not just pieces of it, fully and unapologetically. Brenda, I'm so happy we worked this out. This is great.
Yeah, thank you. I love that I'm getting to be on for a second time.
Well, what happened is we were yipping about something, and I'm like, wait a minute. Somebody had to change. They couldn't come on. And I'm like, you got to tell your story. You got to tell your message, because I was so inspired by what she's doing.
Thank you.
So we got to get into it. All right. The one thing you want to say to women and men that support us around the world, we all have the ability, and I've never heard it said this way, we all have the ability and authority to create what we see missing in our world. Now, I can't wait to hear it, because we got a lot of questions saying, please, Brenda, there's tons missing in the world. Are you sure?
Yes, I am. Positive.
Why'd you pick it? Why that statement?
Well, as you and I were sharing during my session with you on Thursday, I think we talked on Thursday because you were going to the Eagles parade on Friday, maybe Wednesday.
Yeah.
So I was sharing with you one of the things that has been rattling my brain a little bit since the beginning of the year, or maybe January 20th, obviously, was that's really the date it took place, is that there is so much happening in our country, specifically, and I love that you brought up the women's conference, where I read a lot, and I was reading about the changes for federal employees specific to gender specific events, that they're no longer allowed. There's no longer women's conferences that they can participate in. There's no Black engineers that's allowed. So I started to think, I was frustrated. And honestly, I was really angry because I feel like that's a setback for people who look forward to those types of event, enjoy what can occur in that type of event, and that now our federal government is saying it cannot continue and they're not allowed to participate, any employees of the federal government. And then further, I heard that in Department of Defense schools overseas, that everything on the walls, any type of art or print, unless it was a white male, they were all removed from the walls of these schools.
Say it ain't so.
Well, it is so.
Oof.
And I literally lost sleep over this. And I was angry and I was incredulous, and I made sure to check legitimate sources to make sure that this was legitimate. I heard it almost directly from someone who has been in a school that everything has been taken down. And I let myself be upset for probably 48 hours. And then I applied what I apply in my life in general and how I coach my clients is create what you see missing. And I said, how could I make a difference in what I'm seeing in the world and in our country? So I started to toy with a few different ideas, and one of the first things I thought of was a book club. I had recently posted about some of the books that I have read that have made a profound difference to me to understand during Black History Month the experience of African Americans that I can't possibly know unless I talk to them or I read books about them. And so that was there, like, I know what a difference books can make to open people's eyes and minds. So, long story short, I picked up Lead from the Outside by Stacey Abrams, who a friend of my mom, who came to my Christmas party, gifted me this for Christmas.
Ah,
And I said, let me see. I know Stacey Abrams and I know the powerful leader that she is and how she has had a grassroots campaign to create a world where people feel powerful voting and making a difference in their community. So I said, well, I'm going to start a book club. And our first book is going to be Lead from the Outside. And I now have 11 members so far. And this just took place maybe 10 days ago. I started it. And we start on Monday, the 24th, virtually. And I've created the intention of it, and I want people to feel safe in it, because I think one of the things I started reading the book is that we get frozen by fear. And this can apply in every area of our lives, not just in the difference we want to make in our community at large, but in our marriages, in our families, in our workplace, where what I saw missing was community and actions we could take to actually make a difference. And that's why I created the book club. What can we do to create what we see missing right now? Opportunities for community and to change what is happening in our country in a positive way.
yes.
But the same applies in every area of our life, that we can see something that's missing. Maybe it's communication with your spouse. You and I, right before this call, were talking about the importance of communication. Maybe it's communicating with your teenager who spends their evening on their tablet or their phone and trying to get reconnected with them. And I believe, and I have lived it, that we have the power and ability, even when fear kind of gets in our way, to create the very thing we see missing.
I love that. All right.
Yeah.
So I want to back up a little bit because I know I got a lot of questions about this and we got to break it down.
Okay.
And I remember you got hit first handed by this. So without mentioning names, you were part of a conference and one of the keynote speakers had to back out.
Yes. Had to back out
And
because of the executive order saying that any federal employee could not participate in a gender-specific event. And that's really all I can say about that.
yeah, that's all you have to say.
Mhm.
And I know personally, I mean, I love everyone, but I love being with my ladies. I mean, there's just different things, whether it's personally or professionally, that I'm going to share and be different when I'm with those networking events. I
Absolutely.
really look forward. And as far as business goes, I belong to two different all women networking events, and they really I mean, besides helping me professionally, they feed my soul.
Yes. Yes. And I'm a believer that we can have it all. We can have that having a women's specific conference or a Black engineers conference doesn't negate or replace having a bigger community. That this
Absolutely
is just one of many options on the menu available to us. And that
correct.
there's power in gender diversity events, and then there's power in gender specific events.
I
And
agree.
yes,
I agree 100%. And well said. And by the way, right before you came on, somebody even said, like, well, what event do you like speaking at? Like, who's your, I go, I love it all. I go to women's events, I go to men events. I mean, I love it all. And they're all so different. And I get something out of it that's totally different. So I'm really glad. I was like, honestly, I did my homework when you told me that, because I'm like, this can't be true. It just is impossible to be true. So, all right. I just wanted to clear that up. Now we can move forward. So
okay.
let's dive into when you said, even when fear hits, because I got a lot of people, oh my God, a lot, that they feel, I don't know if it's fear, but they feel overwhelmed. So, dear Brenda, let's quote this one woman. We'll call her Betty Boop. Where do I begin? I just walk outside and I just turn in circles. There's so much to do. There's so much to do. And I don't know where to start. I feel like no matter what I do, as my husband says, and I don't agree with him, you're not even going to make a dent. So what are you doing? You're wasting your time. Please help. And he's a good man. She wants you to know he's a good man, but there's just too much to overcome.
I love that because I think that is the totally normal response because there is so much going on and it is overwhelming. And who could we, just people that live in suburbia or wherever we are, make a difference in this? So I understand her response and his response. And I would rather go down trying even the smallest act. And that's part of what the framework of this book club is going to be, that we're all going to be on a spectrum of what we can and will do. And some of us may just do small things, but it's more than zero. And some of us may be like one of the women that's going to be in it. She is an advocate that we should all go down to the schools and prevent the ICE agents from going into the schools.
Ooh.
Well, I'm not going to be doing that, but bravo to you if that's what you want to do.
Absolutely.
Some people maybe just want to be, there's a app out there called 5Call, the number 5Call, that you can put in your zip code and it gives you all the representatives, your specific representatives and other representatives' phone numbers, and all the issues that we are concerned about right now. So maybe it's just making phone calls once a week. It's more, it beats a blank, right? Like one of the things that you and I have probably talked about is the difference between being on the court in a game or on the field on the football game or up in the stands observing.
Mhm.
There's a huge difference there. Even stepping onto the field and making some phone calls means you're actually in the game versus up in the stands telling other people what's wrong with the play calling, what's wrong with how you executed the play, how it should be done differently. But people that are just taking a small step are actually on the field.
You know, I was talking to my son about you. He loves you, by the way. He doesn't even know you.
Well, I love him too. And I only saw him glancingly in
Yeah.
December. Yes.
Well, he's 21 and he's at Tyler Art. And I told him what you told me. And I said, I want to do stuff. I want to do stuff. And he goes, and I told him that I was going to start doing types of fundraisers for anybody that's lost their funding. And he liked that idea. I said, but I feel like I should do more. He goes, Mom, there's a lot you can do. There's a lot you can do. Trust me. But let me think about it. And then what I love, he goes, let's come up with a plan. Let's come up with a plan of what you can do, what we can do together, and we'll make a dent in it. And then you'll feel better that you're not just spinning in circles. And I like that. So we're coming up with a plan this weekend of what we can and are willing to do. Like you said, I might not be going down to the school, but there's other things I can do, which is like raise awareness, raise money, different things like that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I have one woman that's going to be in the club that she has concerns. Her child is in the military. She doesn't want to do anything to jeopardize them. And so I want to honor and respect everybody and where they are in the process. And I love what I've seen so far. I've assigned the first 2 chapters that after each chapter, Stacy has an exercise for them to complete. You'll love it. You'll love this. You and I, it's right up our alley. And what would you do if you had unlimited money? Like, it's really just gets your mind working on what's possible. And what have we, sort of what your friend was saying, or whoever wrote that question, is that we become exhausted from it and just give up.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do.
Right.
And this prompts you to look at what is possible. What is possible?
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is so much easier said than done, but I want to tap into it because one of your points, oh, this was not good for me. Notice how often we look outside ourselves, blaming other people or circumstances for the results we have in our life. Dive into that. Dive into that. Should we take a list? Should we go down and go, I'm like, no, I take responsibility. I got it going on. I know everything I created. And I'm like, ooh,
I know.
I was thinking that. Ooh, snap. I was thinking that. I said, okay, I'm not going to do it for a full day. An hour's good enough.
Right. Well, it's a human nature thing. And it's honestly how we've been raised. Like, it's something outside of us that is causing our life, not us. Like, our choices aren't causing it. It's, my husband, it's my kids, it's the administration, right?
Government, yeah.
Like, it's something outside of me. And what I've learned, and not that I'm still not guilty of it, when I'm having a pity party for myself,
Yeah.
I default to that too. But what I've learned is there's no greater feeling of power than when we know we're 100% responsible for all of it, even though it may not be true. But standing there, I'm responsible for this. I'm responsible for the fact that my husband and I don't get along. Even though I could point over there and say, well, he's not a good communicator and he blah, 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 all the different things.
Mm-hmm.
But I have learned, and I work with my clients on this is one of the things we do together, is not that I'm expecting them to be perfect, but I want them to start looking from there, okay, let's just pretend I'm responsible for this, even though it's not true. But if I were, responsible,
Just saying. Yeah.
what action would I see that I could now take?
Getting it in through the back door, Brenda. I love it. I think we should offer that up as a challenge for the next month.
There you go. I think it's a great challenge because the reality is you don't have to stick with it. You could still in a month go back to, well, it's the problem and my boss is the problem, or this is the problem. Try it for a month and see what you come up with.
All right. I want to do that. I want them to accept this challenge, and then they're going to reach out to you or me and see how it worked out.
Perfect. Just
Yeah,
pretend that you're responsible for all of it. Just pretend.
pretend. Just saying.
And
Yeah.
see what you discover.
I want to switch gears right now. And I
Okay.
want to talk about how much I love the freaking power of the milkshake and why it's so important to me. And when I heard the story about how you got involved and your husband with the team, I was like, this freaking has to be. It just freaking has to be on every single stage around the world, not just podcasts and workshops. The power of the milkshake is it's going to just touch so many lives. So take us back.
Okay.
Again, Brenda, take us back again.
I will. So I was first introduced up close and personal to DeMatha Catholic High School, where my son Bill went and graduated. My youngest Jeff went and graduated. And I met my second husband, wonderful Bill McGregor, who is the head football coach at DeMatha and has been there since 1972. And he had a little 8-year sabbatical. But there's something about DeMatha that is very different. It is a school that is 100% committed to the success of all their students. And every program they have, whether it's academic, sports, music, engineering, they hold their kids, their faculty to an extremely high level of excellence. And it shows, it trickles down. And I was always someone I was raised to serve. So immediately I got involved with the program and I was helping when they needed to travel or various, and I immediately had a profound connection to the school and to the boys. And as many people know, there's nothing I love more than my kids and grandkids, but DeMatha kids rank right up there with them.
Oh my God.
And I have often said at some of my keynotes, if you're ever down in the dumps, if you ever feel like life looks bleak, go to a DeMatha varsity football practice. You will leave there basking in the glow of the excitement and enthusiasm these young men have every single day. Even when they're grueling during two-a-days, they show up, they do what they're asked to do, and they do it with a smile on their face. And they're excited about what is possible for them. I wish I could bottle it. And whenever I'm around it, I feel joyful. I feel excited for what's possible. So the power of the milkshake really came out of something my husband will often tell the boys at DeMatha, I'm the bad cop, she's the good cop. And I want to celebrate these kids and I want to acknowledge them for how amazing they are. So after we win a game, they usually pick like the offensive player of the game, the defensive player of the game, the special teams player of the game, and they just acknowledge them in Monday meetings after the win. Well, I decided I wanted to start bringing them milkshakes. And my husband at first resisted. Oh, stop. They don't need milkshakes, whatever. That's the bad cop part of him. But I persisted and I didn't back down out of someone telling me no. I persisted. And so for many years now, every Thursday after a win, and we had almost all wins this past season, Bill gets the orders from all the players who they deemed as high performers in the game. And they usually order, and I always get large vanilla, large chocolate, large strawberry, which is the least favorite, or they like those Oreo McFlurries.
Oh, yeah.
So then I always get 5 extra vanilla for trivia. And I drive 45 minutes down to the McDonald's in Riverdale, get my order, which usually is somewhere between 18 to 22 milkshakes, then drive to the field, which is about 10 minutes away. And at the end of practice, see, I could cry when I even think about it. At the end of practice, I'm waiting with all the milkshakes, and then Bill has them all come and get their milkshakes. And then anyone who didn't get a milkshake gets to stand around me and we do trivia. And it's usually DeMatha trivia, you know, how many championships, what is the most championships we've had in a row? The answer is 6. Or what did Bill McGregor study at John Carroll University? What's his degree in? And they always get this wrong, history. And I wish I could bottle these boys, young men, are so excited they act like they've never gotten a milkshake before, or like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I never understood until you and I were talking about it. This is just something I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there is a ripple effect on me, on my husband,
Yep.
on the boys, on the program. And it's meaningful. It's meaningful and it has an impact on them and everyone that's around there. So what you and I were talking about an idea for a keynote, and I was telling you the story and you said, Brenda, that's it. That's your keynote. And because there's so many lessons that can be learned from my experience, like persisting in the face of a no, right?
Yes.
Trusting your own heart and intuition. And I want to make a difference in this way, even though it's so small, it's a milkshake. But knowing this is something that brings me joy and I want to bring them joy. I mean, we can apply this in so many areas of our lives. And even when it's not, you know, there are some Thursday nights I don't really want to drive 45 minutes. And most of the time it takes over an hour to drive back home. But I wouldn't miss it for the world because it's a give and take. Just as much as I'm giving to them, they are giving to me and they don't even know they are.
Yeah.
They fill my cup up. Like if my cup is empty, half full, 3/4 full, they fill it to overflowing with their joy, with their excitement, with their enthusiasm, with their passion for life. We lose that as we get older.
Mm.
And I don't ever want them to lose it.
For so many reasons, I'm so happy we talked about this today. Because at the beginning, when you're saying about what you can do and what you can't do, and it seems so overwhelming, and is it really going to make a dent? I mean, a milkshake. And look at the impact it's having on everyone and you.
Yes.
So don't underestimate those small acts of kindness. And the fact, I have to ask, is your husband on board now? Is he glad?
Oh, yes. 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 But he's funny. He is totally on board with it. And he's, as we all do, mellowed quite a bit. Some of his older players would say, Bill McGregor is letting them have milkshakes. But I think I've rubbed off on him a little and I think he's mellowed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you also did cards. I was looking for it, but I think I gave it away. The little card that
My
you gave.
inspirational
Tell them
cards.
about that too. And I know we got to wrap it up, but I want to
I
get
know.
that.
Well, thank you. So I'm trying to think if I have any close by. Well, this started in 98 when my son was a senior, when Bill was a senior. See, I could cry about this.
You
So
should.
when I was working in College Park, Maryland, I would walk every day and I would walk past this store called Smile Herb Shop. And in that shop, upstairs, they had gifts. And I walked by these little window cards. They're from a company out in Seattle called Compendium. And they actually have an inspirational message. And you open the little window and it has and they come in packs of 30 with this little inspirational card. So I decided when my son was a senior that I was going to hand these out before every varsity game. And I did. Well, you know, high school boys, they act like whoop-de-doo, right? They don't say anything. They take the card, they look at it, they keep it moving.
Yeah.
you don't even know the impact you're having and don't think you're having an impact, but it came from my heart and it was something I wanted to give to them. Well, I've been giving them out since 1998, and the ripple effect of those little cards is so profound. I hear from so many of the former players who go to college and say, Miss Brenda, they'll reach out to me in a text or a direct message and say, I have every card you ever gave me, and I have it on my bulletin board in my dorm room. Or they'll write to me and say, or they'll stop me and say, Miss Brenda, I put the card before every game in my sock and down in my cleat because I want it close to me. Or I put it in where my shoulder pads are. I've had Matthew Manning, who is in the Army, he's a helicopter pilot and a commander, I don't know his exact title, reached out to me 2 or 3 years ago and said, Miss Brenda, remember the cards you used to give out? And I said, yes, I still am giving them out. And he said, well, I would love to give some to my troops. And I think it might be a good thing for inspiration. So I sent him a case, and probably 6 weeks later, he sent me photographs of the general coming to do, I don't know what, like an overview, check out the base.
Mhm.
And he's handing him one as he stepped off the helicopter. And he said that the general said, where did you get these? And he told him the story. And he said, you can tell you've had a good life, to Matthew.
Mm.
So they
Again,
something little, you never even think it's making a difference, and it is. And now I will tell you, you'll laugh. All the coaches now take them, and they have for years. So the players all get one. I probably go through 120 of them every game. And there's a few of the coaches who have a whole ritual with the cards now. Before every game, there's 4 of them that have a ritual that they did. And who knew? I mean, who knew these cards would, and compendium is wonderful. They know that I'm going to place this big order at the beginning of every season, and they give me a discount. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful. But I'm telling you, it's born out of. So the only coach that doesn't take a card is Bill McGregor. He's the only one. But it's born out of, I know it's born out of my commitment to them, but it's really because of them.
yes, absolutely.
They're amazing, amazing human beings.
I'm so happy that we figured out how to get you back on, because I was like, wait a minute, I can't end the podcast there when it's on it out, because this shows you, 2 things. Like, who knew?
Right.
Who knew? And you could do that with everything else in life, everything else. What's the small that you feel good about? You don't have to do what other people
I
are
feel
doing.
good about.
Yeah.
Right.
And it is a win-win, because I see your face light up when you talk about it.
Oh my gosh. It is. It's such a win-win. But I think you point to something, and I think that's what I would hope is one of the takeaways, is that everybody has that ability to do something that brings them joy, but impacts others.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I always say I don't do anything out of obligation or I shoulda, coulda, woulda. I do it because it feels right for me. I feel that joy inside of me, and then I can feel the passion come out. And there's so many ways that you can give back and help. You feel it
Absolutely.
in your body. You know when your energy is like, yeah, this is the right way for me. And there's so many different ways. That's why when my son and I were coming up with the list, a lot of his ways were not ways I would do, right? So he would do them on his own. and I'll
Absolutely.
do it with them.
Well, that's why we're all unique, and our way of making a difference is going to be different for what resonates for us.
And also, I love this. I've always been that person. I don't want to go to the war rally, but bring me to the peace rally to make a difference. And you're taking all that's going on. That first, of course, you're angry, you're upset. Please feel all those emotions. And now, what can I do? How can I shift it?
Yes.
Love it. All right, Brenda, we have to wrap up. I'm so happy you came on the show and
Well, thank you
shared
for having me.
a piece of your journey and your life and your wisdom. So before we go, is there anything that we didn't get in that you wanted to say? Is there anything that I didn't cover?
No, I think you really did a great job. I do want to acknowledge you, though, and what a blessing you've been to me as my coach. And I actually have stolen some of your suggestions, including the one I use is the one that you have coached me and I've resisted is look at your calendar every week and see whether everything on your calendar brings you joy. And I think that I resisted it because I didn't think that was possible. And I now can look at my calendar and say, everything on my calendar brings me joy. Thank you, Sandy.
I'm done. I'm done. Okay. All right. So now, for everyone out there who's listening to this podcast or watching the podcast, first of all, where there's a will, there's a way, because everything's shut down and we figured out how to come back up. So always keep that in mind. But for my hey, I got something to say, people who want to book you for their next keynote, for the people that want to have you on their podcast, who want to be on your podcast, and also, most importantly, I can't forget, want to hire you as their coach because they'd be fools not to do any of this. What's the best place to reach you?
So people can call me. Do you recommend I give my phone number or just my email?
Hell yeah. That's what you want. Give me
My
your phone
cell-
number.
My cell is 240-418-6726, or you can email me at bmcgregor, BMCGREGOR .coaching@gmail.com.
Are you on social media too, Brenda?
I am. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, and I am on TikTok as well.
And is it all Brenda McGregor?
I think it's Coach Brenda MC on most of them, but you can find me under Brenda McGregor.
Okay. Come on, people. The power of the milkshake. Let's keep that in mind. Think about it. Think about it. Come on.
And it's a
whole
great,
body shake.
yes, it's a great team builder too, to get people connected to what's important to them and how they want to make a difference in their organization. Because we give up on that too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And when you reach out to Brenda, make sure you say, hey, I got something to say. That's where I saw you. She'll freaking love that.
I will.
Hey, I got something to say. All right, people. Thank you. I love you.
Thank you. Love you too.
Freaking awesome. I love Brenda McGregor. We really would appreciate you sharing, liking it, rating it. I keep telling people, oh my God, 17 years, and I never tell people to subscribe, whatever you need to do on YouTube. I got to get better at that. But most importantly, share this with just one person. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sandy.
Love you.
Love you.
We'll catch up soon. And until next time,
Right.
toodles.
Toodles.